You can use EMT electrical conduit and clamp style connectors to level up your garden this spring. In this video, we're going to talk all about how that's possible. We're going to cover an overview of those materials, talk about their advantages in the garden, and walk through some build examples and tools that you can use to maximize your time, energy, and budget. Let's get into it. It's now February, which means spring is fast approaching. Most likely you've started planning your upcoming garden along with the projects that go along with it. Over the 10 years that we've been in business, our community has passed along a ton of helpful and creative solutions that they have discovered and used in their garden projects with conduit and connectors. Today we've gathered a lot of this knowledge from the community and packed it into this one video so you can learn just about everything you need to know to successfully build all kinds of useful projects like these in your garden. If you don't know already, EMT Conduit is a commonly available steel galvanized tubing that you can find in the electrical aisle of your local hardware or home improvement store. It is an often underrated building material, but it has a lot of great benefits in the garden. Wood is also a great building material for garden projects, but it has its limitations. The most common limitation comes from the fact that you have to use untreated wood in projects that are near the food you're growing. This is because treated wood contaminates soil and your plants, which can make them unsafe to eat. Untreated wood is likely to start rotting and become unusable after 1 or 2 seasons of exposure to the elements. It can be expensive and time-consuming to rebuild structures over and over with untreated wood. EMT Conduit is a great option if you're looking for an alternative to build different structures in your garden. Gardeners have trusted EMT Conduit or similar galvanized steel tubes in their gardens for many years. EMT is readily available locally and is fairly inexpensive. It's made of steel and has a galvanized coating that helps to prevent rust in outdoor settings. You may be wondering if this galvanization is harmful to plants just like chemically treated wood. I was wondering the same thing, so I did some research. To my surprise, it actually doesn't contaminate soil, according to Kevin from Epic Gardening. His article goes into more detail, and I definitely recommend you give it a read if you're interested. I'll link it down below for you. For now, I'll just share the short version. Essentially, galvanized steel is coated with zinc, and most garden soils are neutral and non-acidic, which means they won't break down the zinc coating on the conduit. As it turns out, this is why a lot of trusted companies use galvanized steel for their raised garden beds. This is fantastic news for gardeners for a couple of reasons. One being that it is safe to grow food on or around structures that are made with EMT conduit. Secondly, since the coating won't be broken down by the soil, you won't have to worry too much about the conduit rusting over time. You can build structures in your garden with the expectation that they'll be strong and sturdy for many seasons to come. For example, this project has been out in the sun for a while and it has minimal rust on the framework, as you can see. With that peace of mind, we can get into the fun stuff. Conduit on its own is a pretty great material for DIY projects. If you combine conduit and connectors together to build structures, you can unlock even more endless possibilities for DIY projects in your garden. The MakerPipe connector system is manufactured by us in upstate South Carolina. We designed these specifically for building with steel EMT conduit. We wanted that process to be as simple and easy as possible for you. You only need a few simple hand tools to measure, cut, and connect conduit together. To cut EMT conduit down to size, you just need a tape measure, marker, and a handheld tubing cutter. Then you only need a single 5mm hex wrench to connect those pieces of conduit together with MakerPipe clamps. Those tools are the necessities, but then there's also an optional tool that opens up a lot of cool possibilities as well. This tool is the electrician's hand bender. Now, none of these tools require power, which means you can build right in your garden. MakerPipe connectors are also coated with zinc, which gives them the same advantages that conduit and steel raised garden beds have. For more information about conduit and connectors as a whole, check out our masterclass series. Specifically, episode 2 will give a lot more insight into all of the features and benefits of building with MakerPipe and EMT conduit. All you need to know for now is that they're affordable, easy to work with, and infinitely customizable for all kinds of applications and needs. All of our connectors and accessories can be found online at makerpipe.com. I'm also excited to let you know that you can now find MakerPipe connectors in select Do It Best and True Value hardware stores. I'll link our store locator page down below so you can check it out. Be sure to check it often as we work to connect and work with more stores in the future. Now that we know how you can build with conduit, let's talk about what you can build with conduit. We're going to quickly highlight and showcase all kinds of builds like trellises, greenhouses, enclosures, plant shades, and more from the community. First, let's talk trellises. There are a wide variety of climbing plants and vines that can be quite heavy when fully grown and ready for the harvest. These plants require strong and sturdy support structures to help them grow and reach their full potential. Steel electrical conduit and connectors meet this demand really well. We've seen a bunch of plant trellises shared over the years. As you can see, these are all custom made to be different shapes and sizes for unique garden situations and plants. You've got really simple ones like this lean-to trellis from Jennifer, and you've got really extensive versions like this one from Sandy. Trellises made with conduit and clamps allow you to get really creative and maximize your space efficiently. These arch trellises showcase this possibility really well. There are a lot of other creative trellis builds in the community. I'll link our community as well as some trellis roundups that we've made down below. As you can see though, no matter what shape or size your garden is, you can make a trellis for it. A common question that we get is how do you make sure that trellises are securely anchored or mounted in the garden? There are a couple of easy and effective ways to do this. If you have a raised garden bed made from conduit like this one from Rita, then you can simply build off of it to add a trellis. If your raised garden bed is made from wood, then you can pick up some 1-hole or 2-hole straps. These are really inexpensive and easy to use. They snap onto conduit and have either 1 or 2 holes that you can use with screws or bolts to secure them in place. You can also use 1-hole straps to mount trellis frames to steel raised garden beds as well. I'll link a video down below that shows this solution in more detail if you're interested. We also see a lot of people who build freestanding trellises like these. For these gardens, you can use metal stakes that are readily available at local home improvement stores. They're made to hammer into the ground and, depending on the diameter, allow you to slide conduit over top of them. They also make U and J-shaped rebar stakes that work well to hold down horizontal pieces of conduit. All of these simple solutions get the job done in most situations, but there are more elaborate solutions like creating concrete anchors that I'll link down below for you to check out if you're interested. Once the conduit is secured, you can then build out the rest of your frames and structures. Another common question that people ask is how to secure trellis netting to frames. There have been a lot of ideas shared for this. We've seen some builders tie netting and string to their frames. We've also seen others use zip ties or metal wire. There really isn't a wrong way to secure netting as long as it's strong enough to withstand the weight of the plants that you're planning to grow on it. The next type of build that I want to highlight are garden enclosures. The last thing you want to do is build an awesome trellis that supports your plants and grows an unprotected buffet for deer and other critters. Just like with trellises, we've seen all sorts of unique and creative enclosures built with conduit and clamps. Just like with all other conduit builds, you can customize dimensions and shapes based on your specific needs within your garden. The enclosures that we see in the community are basically just cubes or rectangles that sit around garden beds and support netting and other protective measures. The specific type of enclosure material that you use depends on where you live and the animals that you want to keep out. You can get chicken wire or hardware cloth that has smaller sized holes that work great to keep out birds and other small animals. If you need something a little bit more rigid to protect your garden from deer and larger animals, then I would recommend cattle panels. Attaching chicken wire or cattle panels can be done with the different solutions that we highlighted for trellises. One that I didn't mention yet though are metal zip ties. They are stainless steel and hard to beat when it comes to cost and long-term strength. Enclosures, just like trellises, also need to be secured in one way or another. The 1 or 2-hole straps and rebar stake solutions that I mentioned earlier will work just as good for enclosures too. When building garden enclosures, you will likely have a couple of common questions, one of which is how to make a gate for easy garden access. We've highlighted a lot of hinge solutions on the channel in the past for this. I'll link some of those videos down below for you to check out, but I'll quickly highlight 2 that we see commonly used. One is a custom 3D printed hinge that a member of the community started making. Billy from Northwoods Engineered saw the need and started manufacturing these. We work with Billy to offer them on our website, and you can also find them on his website that I'll link down below. If you want a metal alternative, I recommend these aluminum snap-on hinges that are supposed to be used with PVC, but they also work well with the EMT conduit. Latching your gate is also important. Billy has a latch solution available that works well in most cases. We also have a video roundup of solutions with more ideas for this need. I'll link that down in the description so you can see more options and see which one is right for your specific project. Now, in addition to protecting your plants from critters, you may need to protect them from the sun too. We've seen a lot of different plant sunshades from the community. These are similar in design to a lot of the custom canopies and awnings for houses that we see from builders. These frames are usually made in a way that stretches out the fabric. If your sunshade material has grommets, then you can use zip ties or ball bungees to secure it to your frame. If you don't have grommets, then I'd recommend using the conduit cover clamps that we have available on makerpipe.com. We also made a video roundup of solutions for this problem that I'll link down below if you're interested. If you're gardening in the winter months, then you can use the sun and heat to your advantage. Builders in the community have made all kinds of different greenhouse solutions with conduit and connectors. These are similar in design to garden enclosures. In fact, we see a lot of people who build rectangular frames that they modify as the season changes. I'll link a video below that highlights this modular approach to garden frames. The main difference we see between enclosure and greenhouse frames are the roof designs. Builders will usually incorporate some angled roof peaks in their greenhouses because they don't want rain, ice, or snow to pile up on top. To secure greenhouse plastic, we see builders use the conduit cover clamps that we have available, as well as more robust solutions like wiggle wire. Now, a few times in this video, I've mentioned that we have video roundups of different builds. In addition to those, we have also done some interviews with customers who have built various projects and have shared helpful information within them. I'll link a playlist that has those down below so you can watch those and get some helpful insights into various builds like greenhouses and trellises that people have made and talked about with us. In addition to these common builds that we've talked about, there are a lot of other unique and custom gardening projects that people share in the community. The possibilities really are endless. You might be wondering how to best go about planning your own garden structures. By far the easiest and best way to plan out any conduit and connector build is to use the MakerPipe mini connectors that we make specifically for this process. They're essentially just a desktop plastic version of what you'll create later on with the full-size steel connectors and conduit. I recommend using the various resources that we have like the build book, community forum, build gallery, or YouTube videos to get an idea of what you're looking to make and then try to recreate something that you see with the minis. In doing that, you'll learn a lot and can start planning your own custom designs. For a full step-by-step guide into the process of building your project with conduit and connectors, I recommend that you check out the MakerPipe Masterclass. That series will have you ready to build in no time. As always, we're here to help with your projects, whether it's in the garden, garage, or inside the house. Be sure to reach out to us with any questions or ideas you have, and we'll do our best to help. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.